Welcome into another edition of Ringside Review. I am Athan Hristodulu, joined alongside, as always, by Matt Colpitts, coming off the heels of a wild SummerSlam. Night one, night two, both ending in explosive fashion. There is so much to discuss, so much to get into. Matt, how are we feeling coming off the heels of SummerSlam?
It was crazy, man. And I feel like just seeing social media and even the feeling you have within yourself, because we're going to talk about the finales to both of those nights, it feels like there's a lot more buzz and a lot more praise than we had for WrestleMania 41 this year. So overall, I mean, we'll pick it apart, but I think it was a pretty good showcase for WWE.
Oh, absolutely. You want to talk about a show feeling like we're making up for WrestleMania? If you were to summarize SummerSlam, it was a makeup for WrestleMania, from shots that were getting taken to The Rock and Travis Scott and the lead up to it, to the actual match quality and just show overall itself. I mean, this has to be one of the better Big Four events that I think WWE's put on in a while, because I mean, WrestleMania 40 was great for what it was, but I mean, SummerSlam last year, then you have what am I thinking here? Survivor Series, excuse me. I wanted to call it the actual match itself, but Survivor Series, the Royal Rumbles are fine and everything, but like SummerSlam this year from start to finish, first night maybe not quite as good as the second night, but man, that second night from start to finish was fantastic. And I think we should just dive right into just some of the initial reactions, immediate takeaways from the overall event itself. I think the first place I want to start with was that triple threat that got things going night number two, as of course Naomi retaining her championship, coming out with her own father playing the guitar in her entrance. Like, it was obviously from the moment she walked out and that was happening, my initial thought was there's no shot Naomi's not retaining here. But the match quality itself, Iyo Sky, Rhea Ripley obviously having their side angle to this whole thing as well, and Naomi in a weird spot of like odd man out from that perspective, was definitely one of those things that had me wondering, how is this going to play itself out? But Naomi at this point is on such an unbelievable run. I cannot praise her enough with what she's doing, and it's clear, giving her a big victory over two of their top stars who have basically headlined the women's heavyweight championship for the better part of what feels like 6 months now at this point, maybe a little bit less than that if I'm getting dates wrong. But Naomi's here and she's here to stay. And I'm really looking forward to seeing who they pair her up with on the Raw side. Like, I'm so glad that they plucked her from SmackDown to move her to Raw, because like the door is wide open for so many feuds for her to get into.
For sure, man. And honestly, just seeing this and thinking about the history behind it, like Naomi, I think at one point was just a Funkadactyl for like a Brodus Clay entrance at a WrestleMania.
Yeah.
So now the fact that she's got her dad playing her to the ring, I mean, obviously it's a SummerSlam, not WrestleMania, but still just as big. Winning and going over Iyo Sky and Rhea Ripley, two world champions in their own right. I like it. I like the overall dynamic. I feel like at WrestleMania 40, going into it, we were like, Iyo Sky's the, odd woman out. Like, it is all Rhea and Bianca feuding. And it almost feels like that shifted a bit, but the blueprint was still there, where it was Rhea and Iyo feuding. Going into this, we both had predicted that Naomi was going to walk away with this. It made sense and it worked. Personally, I love that it was actually Rhea that took the pin, not Iyo, because I feel like they did Iyo so dirty with that championship reign. So it's nice that even though Rhea's very protected, they'll still have her lose and take a clean pinfall on a big stage. So I love the match. It was just high energy, a really fun bout. And I think in general, triple threats are just always a great showcase, especially in recent history on the big stage for WWE.
Absolutely. And I mean, you said it. Yeah, it was just a SummerSlam, but it felt bigger than a SummerSlam. And maybe that's the two-night effect in some of the match quality we got. But that was it. One thing that does hurt me is, like, it's a shame it was just a show opener. But at the end of the day, like, you want your show opener and closer to be your hottest matches of the night. And considering the way they ended night number two, I guess I understand why it had to be the show opener. But I mean, just great wrestling from beginning to end. They told it, and triple threats can be wonky. They can be a little bit weird, and it's hard to tell the great story, but you have the clash between Iyo and Rhea, and them even like teaming up because they obviously have beef being cashed in on against Naomi. So like, there was a lot of really good angles that came out of it. I'm looking forward to seeing how it continues to unfold. Anything for you in specific you want to highlight?
Yeah, I mean, you look at the nights. I think night one, a huge surprise was that Jade Cargill lost clean. I did not expect that
Yeah.
coming. And I know when we were talking about the predictions, I was like, there's just no way they're going to stop her momentum. Sure enough, she loses clean to Tiffany Stratton on SummerSlam. But I think the one big highlight from night two for me, you had an incredible show all around. The ladder match was incredible, obviously the main event. But I feel like AJ Styles and Dom Mysterio, the whole AJ coming out with the Eddie Guerrero gear, the entrance, that was something I did not expect and was out of left field. It was a great match. A little surprised that Dom ended up retaining. I feel like maybe this could have gone either way, but Dom is still your champ. But the whole Eddie thing, that was crazy. And I was also, moving this weekend, so I was only seeing bits and pieces, but I was like, in the back, my first instinct was like, this could go bad. Like, people might react to this the wrong way.
Yeah.
But in terms of storytelling purposes, that was really cool, and I feel like that's just something you got to highlight.
I think the memes that are going around right now of AJ Styles during like that 2003 era when I think he was around in TNA at that point still.
Yep.
And then you have like the side by side of Dom Mysterio playing on a PSP at the same exact time. And they're going, this kid just beat AJ Styles. It's got to be one of the funniest pictures I've seen because it's one of those things that you don't think about something like that until it's presented to you. And I just looked at it and I smiled. But like, yes, that was one of those matches going into the show. And I don't remember if I said this or not on the podcast itself, but I was like, that could be one of those under the radar, really good matches because AJ Styles, obviously a fantastic in-ring worker, and then Dom in his own right has gotten really good in the ring, but everyone loves, like, he's borderline face at this point. Like, yeah. I know he's still a bad guy, but we live in that era now of wrestling where if you're a really good bad guy, you're beloved, and it seems like at this point we are heading on the trajectory of Dom Mysterio at being a good guy. He's going to be a face sooner rather than later, it feels, because the reactions are not boos. Nobody is looking at Dom Mysterio going, we don't want him to succeed anymore. This is like everyone is eating up what he's doing. So I love it. And I'm glad that the match ended up being as good as it was. It was received as well as I was hoping it would. And I was a little bit worried because I was like, oh, right before the main event, this is where this slots. Like, that's going to be tough. But the crowd ate it up from start to finish. So absolutely. I think the other thing I would want to highlight too, and I think it goes to show just how strong night two was. And I really think the TLC match maybe should have been on night one to help give night one a little bit of a lift. But that's one of those things that I wish WrestleMania had. And I can't remember if you were doing the show with me or not, if going into WrestleMania. Has it been that long already at this point?
Probably. It's been a while. We got some tenure.
Yeah, because we did Mania predictions together, didn't we? Yeah.
Yep.
So I think at this point, the big issue that I had with, or not big issue, a issue I had with Mania was we didn't get like a ladder match or something like that. Something that felt like just car crash entertainment wrestling at its most like simplest form. And that's what this TLC match was. Candice LeRae, I don't know if I know you said you were watching a bits and pieces. Did you see just absolute annihilation she took going through the ladder?
Brutal. I did see that.
Standing on it. And I was like, that's one of those things where as a wrestling fan, you eat it up. But at the same time, you're like, that does not look like the way she was supposed to land. And is she okay? Yeah. But I mean, from start to finish, that was one of those things where I'm like, I love those types of matches. Again, wrestling in its simplest form, just an absolute car crash. That's one of those matches I wish was on night one, because night one, again, felt a little bit weaker. And the big thing that saved it was that main event. And I think we need to get into it because there was a lot of predictions going around. I think WWE did a really good job of kind of putting us in a position where we don't know exactly what's going to happen, because John Cena turning face literally the night before the show really complicated things. There's been the speculation as to whether the Seth injury was real or not, and then there were pictures of him popping up in crutches. I think they did a really good job. Whether Seth really thought he hurt himself at Saturday night's main event or not, and however that whole thing unfolded, and I'll be curious to see if it comes out on like WWE's Unreal documentary thing that they're doing now. Regardless of what was true and what was not true, the execution leading into WrestleMania these last few weeks since Saturday night's main event was perfect, because everyone was wondering, is Seth cashing in on Punk? Can he even cash in on Punk? Or maybe is he going to do just a complete opposite left field shot and boom, he's going to cash in on Cena? Is Cena tricking Cody Rhodes? Both main events were in such a state of like, what is going to happen? And we got such a fantastic result to end both of the nights here. So Obviously, CM Punk winning, going over clean over Gunther. It's clear that whatever issue he had, because rumors popped up that he has a nose thing going on, I guess. So I think maybe that is part of the big reason why, and we called him a transitional champion, why we ended up seeing him lose clean and that just being the end of it. I think Gunther's going to go away for a little bit, and I'm sure he'll be right back in the thick of things with the world championship at some point down the road, as he typically is. I believe that's only his 5th loss on the main roster in singles competition, which is crazy. That's crazy. But I want to get your thoughts, your reactions. I was a little devastated that Seth cashed in on Punk. I'm a big Punk fan. It is what it is. But ultimately, we got the cash in. I was like 50-50 right on Seth Rollins. I called the bluff. None of that injury stuff sat well with me, but I called the wrong cash in. I thought there was going to be a massive swerve and he was going to go after Cena. I had this whole convoluted thing put in my head. What were your thoughts as the whole thing played itself out?
Yeah, man. I mean, you just spoiled exactly what I wanted to hit. I was going to say, I know you had that tinfoil hat on. You were absolutely theorizing everything. Don't get me wrong. You were right. You were the one that definitely sold me on Seth Rollins' injury being fake or having a little bit of weirdness behind it. So you bought me on there. But I felt like all along, the story was just right there for it to be CM Punk and Seth Rollins. Going into this match, I knew it was not going to be Gunther walking away because there's just really no story to tell with Gunther as the world champion other than your typical he's the bad guy, who's the next good guy to step up. You have Jey Uso drop the title. Gunther did his program with Goldberg. This was very much going to be CM Punk's crowning moment. Now, I remember when we did our predictions, I was like, pretty much there's 2 options. Either Punk's walking away with the title or Rollins is cashing in. Because, again, that is like the blood feud. Ever since CM Punk first stepped back in WWE at that Survivor Series however many years ago, Seth Rollins was the one that was irate. They were already going to be facing each other at WrestleMania 40. Then, as we know, injuries happen. Things go the way they did. But I liked it. I really liked that CM Punk did get that showing. I feel like it's a good callback to when he cost Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania 40. I already saw the memes comparing the two side by side. So it's pretty cool that, in a way, CM Punk kind of got a taste of his own medicine, like, you know, winning the title only to have it for 5-something minutes. And, you know, I don't have the exact stats, but I'm pretty sure it was actually a few seconds less than Drew had it at WrestleMania 40. So Drew gets that one up. But with that being said, I loved it. I love the execution. I love Seth just kind of walking out. You almost thought it was going to be like a Bobby Lashley, Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, like hold up the trophy and walk away, drops the crutches, ultimately cashes in. I love that execution. As a CM Punk fan, it does also hurt me that, you know, that was his reign. But at least you get to say that, you know, Punk has finally regained the world title after, you know, however many years away. I'm sure it's not the only time he's going to have the title around his waist. But I like it. And I feel like the other telling thing that I know we talked about on the prediction show was that if Braun and Bronson are to lose to Roman Reigns and Jey Uso, I feel like you're not going to kill this group's momentum. So that also kind of gave me the hint that Rollins was going to cash in. Because at the end of the day, this is your money group and your money feud that's carrying Raw, and if not the entire WWE going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. You could not agree with you more. And that was the big tell for me that something was going to happen. And like you said, we talked about it. As soon as Roman and Jey won the way they did, I was like, all right, you can squash these two for this match, let things end the way they do. And at this point now, the door is wide open. Seth's probably going to cash in. What match it's going to be was the big question. The tinfoil hat was on a little bit tight for me. And I think I was pretty open about it too. But I just, again, the injury never sat right with me. Yes, Saturday night's main event, like in a vacuum, very awkward ending with the way Seth Rollins and LA Knight's match went. It felt like LA Knight wasn't supposed to win. And that's one of those things that I'll be curious down the line if we ever find out. Did Seth actually think he got hurt? Was it designed to look that way? Like, did they really make an entire event like Saturday night's main event feel awkward from Seth Rollins' finish to ultimately the main event between Gunther and Goldberg? Like, was that all really set up for SummerSlam, or was it just everyone hold your breath for a moment here, and then in hindsight they were like, you know what, everyone thinks you're hurt, let's run with it, and they kind of pivoted the storyline? That's one of those things I'll be curious to hear about down the road if it ever comes out. But at this point now, Seth Rollins is king of Monday Night Raw. I'm really looking forward to seeing how CM Punk reacts to this whole thing. I'm very interested now that Seth Rollins has the championship in the power. A lot of the questions I had, I feel like leading up to this also got answered too. Like, it was all a ruse, and they're calling it the ruse of the century. He now has the heist and ruse of the century at this point here, because I was like, Paul's calling Braun Breaker, the leader and the guy, and Braun Breaker's even taking ownership of that. So like it felt like there was this weird power dynamic shift happening too, but clearly all smoke and mirrors as Seth now holds the championship. But we got to dive into the second main event, night number 2, Cody Rhodes, John Cena. I have to start out by saying this because as I'm watching this match unfold, I'm going through so many emotions. Again, growing up, John Cena era, I watched it all from basically start to finish for him. And to see him have the match that he had and look back on this entire heel run that he's had, I went through waves of like irritation, annoyance, but also like enjoy and like eating it up and loving it all at the same time towards the end, because I think it tells a really interesting story of John Cena comes back as a heel. It apparently is not his idea whatsoever. Triple H said so as much on that WWE Unreal series. It was his whole idea. How much of that I completely buy, I don't really know, because you never really know with these types of things and in the world of WWE. But you see John Cena talked about how, he was put in a position to be someone he's not and kind of left there by himself to execute it, and it just never felt right. There is a piece of me that feels like by design, Cena coming out the way he was, and we've talked about this too, and I think you laid this out beautifully a few weeks ago about the whole heel run was to make you almost appreciate more what John Cena was prior to his return, and it helped you really appreciate this actual match itself, because we got Super Cena at his absolute best. At this point, we were in such a state of like, I don't think John Cena has it in the tank anymore, and that's why he's wrestling the way he is, to, oh my God, he was working us the entire time. I don't think anyone appreciates this main event as much, if not for just the lackadaisical style of matches and like the more boring type of Cena we got for the last few months. I almost feel like in hindsight, was it a little bit annoying at certain points? Yes. I think his mic work was still great. The matches, not so much. But because of how it worked itself out, it made me love this match even more than I could have possibly imagined.
Yeah, man, I feel like this, again, because I remember going into WrestleMania, this was the match where I was like, this is it, my childhood hero, my current, like, favorite superstar going head-to-head. Like, I am all for John Cena and Cody Rhodes. This is the match that we had hoped for at WrestleMania 41. But like you said, with the heel run, maybe it was supposed to be mediocre, the whole Travis Scott interference, and the main event of WrestleMania, which now with the falling out and all the drama, was it a waste? I think so. But we're now here at SummerSlam, and it was incredible. Like I said, I was only able to be watching bits and pieces. This is a match where I'm about to go home and rewatch it, because I need to watch it in its entirety because it deserves it. I saw Cena doing a sunset flip. I saw, him kicking out of Cody Rhodes' trifecta of Crossroads. Some of the moves they were doing were just incredible, and like you said, it really felt like Super Cena was back. I haven't seen him do the diving leg drop off the top rope in forever, and that took me back to when I was a kid. It's nice to see him pull out so much of that moveset that we know he always had, and I feel like we only ever got glimpses of. I think Cody Rhodes even hit a tombstone, if I'm not delusional right now, but like there was some crazy Texas pile drive. Yes. I know commentary mentioned like, oh, this is banned in WWE, we can't do this. So it was cool that they were really just letting these two guys go at it, just full steam ahead. I think there was so much speculation with, is Cody turning heel? Like, Cena's turning face again. I loved during Cena's entrance, like he comes out with the black screen and then all the lights go crazy and it's the Cena of old. So there was just so much storytelling. As a fan of both of these guys, this definitely felt like the match you have always wanted. And it does feel like, with Cody winning and then visibly just emotional at the very end, this is probably the last time we're going to see these two in the ring together. And it seems like Cody kind of felt that moment. He knew that they created magic at SummerSlam, and I guess you can even say they created some magic with WrestleMania 41 with Cena getting the title. But I like it. I think it really redeemed their match from Mania, their rivalry. And overall, I do think it makes sense that Cody gets the title back. It seems like it's going to be as a baby face. They're just going to keep teasing it forever. And then you get hit with the blockbuster at the end. But I'll leave that to you to set that up and talk all about it.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I will say before we jump to what happened post-match, I from start to finish, this was the match we wanted at WrestleMania. And it sucks that WrestleMania in hindsight feels like a waste, like you said when you started out your point. I'm happy that we got this, though, to finish it off. And I think what really did it to me was the initial embrace when Cena hands Cody Rhodes the title. You see him, he says, "I'm sorry" about something. And for me, it feels like it has something to do with WrestleMania and how that whole thing started. But John Cena, obviously, very, very much consoling him and letting him know that you are the man now. And there was definitely a back and forth regarding that initial first match, because what else is Cody Rhodes saying "I'm sorry" for? It's got to be the initial reception for their first bout. And that one made up for it tenfold. And from what happened in the ring to spilling out into the crowd, I mean, the suplex onto the bike rack, or just like the I don't know, like the fencing that they had out there, like from start to finish, that was the match that we initially wanted. And I'm so glad WWE said, "We're throwing it all at you. You're getting the entire book and then some." And it could not have ended in a better way. And we had the obvious passing of the torch at the end. It was great. It was beautiful. It was, as the young kids are saying these days, absolute cinema. That is peak wrestling, peak WWE at its finest. But of course, the night wasn't over, because Brock Lesnar makes his return as John Cena is exiting the ring. Polarizing opinions aside, and where you may stand on Brock Lesnar, I think my big question now is, where does Cena go from here? It's obviously going to be him and Brock. Triple H said on the post show, and I'm sure that there was a big reason for this, was it was John Cena who wanted this match with Brock Lesnar. And I think John Cena at this stage in his career should be afforded the opportunity to face whoever he wants to face during his retirement run. And I think that's exactly what we've been getting throughout the entirety of this year. It's going to be Brock. It's going to be Cena. Brock gave him one hell of a beatdown at SummerSlam, I believe 11 years ago now. It was the 2014 SummerSlam, so 11, 12 years, whatever the dates are on that, I don't know. But with that in mind, I can't believe Brock Lesnar's back. I can't believe Cena, I guess as a face now, is going to take it to Brock. Is this going to be the redemption arc for Cena, or is this a one-off for Lesnar? Like, I don't really know where this goes. This was just, everyone was speculating The Rock. Everyone was speculating a heel turn for Cena or for Cody, or like a double cross from Cena, like whatever it may have been. I'm going to ask you this, and I want you to answer it. Are you okay with not getting a Rock return, a heel turn from Cody, double cross from Cena, and instead you get this match now for John Cena?
Yes and no. I think personally for me, I'm just not the biggest Brock Lesnar fan. Like, even controversy aside, like obviously we can't speak on that because we don't know what information there is. That's something on the side. But just in general, I felt like Brock Lesnar was always the guy. I think the only time I've ever rooted for him was when he was facing the big dog Roman Reigns, because I just did not want Roman to win at that time, and like Goldberg, because I'm just very anti-Goldberg. I'm not a Goldberg fan. Every other time, I never could get into Lesnar matches because it's just, again, Suplex City, or he's just dominating the guy. Like, I remember one time, I think it was a bragging rights. He fought Daniel Bryan. I was all Daniel Bryan at the time. Like, I seem to always be rooting for the underdogs against Brock, so I can't say I'm the biggest fan. But on the other side, I do see the vision, especially if it is Cena that wants this match. When I think of my childhood and even my teenage years watching Cena fight, there's one guy that I would really love to see, and that's Edge. But I know that's not going to happen because the whole AEW situation. But I do think his matches with Brock Lesnar have always been incredible, especially the one where Brock first came to WWE ever, and like Cena ended up winning, which was a surprise, and some people say was the wrong result at the time. He is one of Cena's biggest rivals, and I remember just a few years ago it was Cena and Roman Reigns, and then Brock Lesnar comes out and then just beats up John Cena after the show for like 10 minutes, which hurt me. I was like, come on, man, why John? But there's just rivals at the end of the day. So I'm not sure where it goes. It might just be a one-off. I do know that SummerSlam's going to Minneapolis, I think, in a year or two. Maybe that's setting up for like a Lesnar retirement tour or match. Maybe it is next year. I saw some speculation about that. Maybe that's what it's for. It's like Brock's last run. But I don't know. I think it's going to be a good match. It is one that makes sense that now if Cena did all his heel matches and fought all the faces, now we can do it as a face and face all the heels. So it seems like Lesnar will be kind of that tweener or heel. Excited for the program, but overall, not really sure where it goes.
Yeah, very, very curious now that we basically, like, this SummerSlam was Super Cena returns essentially. So are we going to get that against Brock? Like, how are they going to stack up these two guys? Like, is Cena really going to take another loss, but are they going to risk having Brock Lesnar lose in his return match here? Because it's been 2 years, I believe, since the last time we saw him in a WWE ring. Like, WWE never ceases to fail at leaving you with more questions than answers, especially after these big shows. And SummerSlam is obviously no exception. So I'm looking forward to seeing how it plays out. I think Brock adds an insane wrinkle to a lot of different things, because once he's done with Cena, where does he go? What does Cena do post Brock Lesnar? Like, you're not going to tell me him and Lesnar are feuding for the next 4 months until he retires. So like, just the ripple effect that this has for the next even just couple of months of programming, it just leaves me with more questions than answers. And I'm looking forward to finding out. But that's all the time we got. I kept you here a little bit longer than you asked me for, Matt. So I'll get you out of here. But appreciate you joining me to talk some wrestling once again. For those of you who made it to the end, as always, greatly appreciated. We will catch you all next week. There will not be a Monday Night Raw review because I'm on vacation. That being said, next Tuesday, we'll catch you all for another edition of Ringside Review.